Oh shit, fighting back a sneeze. Hey everyone, MrManPacster here, bringing you a review of ReCore for the Xbox One. ReCore being a Xbox One exclusive title developed by Concept and Armature, I believe. I'm hoping this game really does pretty well. I think Concept is going to need it, especially after the blunder that was Mighty Number 9 that did not turn out so well. And was I sure as hell surprised when I heard that Kaiji Inafune and Concept were going to make an Xbox One exclusive title, especially when Concept is a Japanese company, a Japanese developer, and the Xbox One is pretty not doing great in Japan. And I really didn't know much about ReCore before I played the game and got my hands on it. The only bit of footage that I saw for the game was the trailer that they debuted the game at E3 like 2 years ago or something like that. So when I got my hands on the game, I was not expecting this to be a open world game by any means. Let alone when I started playing the game, I found out that this game was a third person shooter platformer game. Now, the basic story of ReCore is you're pretty much Earth is screwed by some sort of affliction, and they pretty much found this planet that they decided to call Far Eden, and they're going to this planet. It's pretty much a desert planet, and they are pretty much sending machines up to Far Eden to start paving the way for humanity to go there. They're trying to terraform the planet. They got these big machines to which to do that, and they're sending some people over there to go to the planet to kind of make sure everything kind of goes the way things should. And that's where we are with our character in the game. I believe her name is Jewel. Her name is spelled weird, and I can't exactly remember how to say it off the top of my head, but I believe it's Jewel. And she's not particularly an interesting character. Her dad is the one that's kind of behind this whole thing. He built these things called prism cores, which kind of are super powerful, like power sources. And by the time she wakes up, it's been about 200 years, and nothing is really done. Far Eden hasn't been making the progress it should have been. Things seem to be in disarray. The machines aren't acting like they should. They're a little bit evil. They've been corrupted. And it's pretty much up to her to figure out what's going on. And she is accompanied by her little robot dog named Mac. He is adorable. I love him. But you also get other robot companions as you play through the game, and they all have their own special abilities to get you to different areas. And they also play into the combat very well. They have their own special abilities. You can customize them, get them different parts. You can upgrade just their basic stats like attack, defense, and energy. And the game does have, the menu system does seem to be a little daunting at first. There is a lot going on, but actually it's a lot simpler than it looks. You get the hang of it pretty quick, and I have to give them a lot of credit. While it does seem pretty daunting at first, there is a lot of stuff on screen. It's actually very simple. You'll get the hang of it really quick. I really enjoyed the upgrade system in this game. And they don't make it hard for you to get these upgrades for your robots. You pretty much get all these upgrades and these blueprints and stuff just by fighting the enemies, so you don't really have to go out of your way to get upgrades for your robots. You'll pretty much get them just by playing the game. And the third-person shooter aspect of the game is very easy. It's based on colors. If you see a red enemy, you use the red extension on your gun to deal more damage. And there's a few enemies here and there. Some of them will be like purple, some of them will be orange, which is not one of the base colors of your weapon. The base colors on your weapon are like white, blue, red, and yellow. And there are some in-between colors, like I said, orange and purple, and you kind of just have to choose the color that kind of corresponds with it or kind of makes up that color to deal a little bit more damage. Some enemies will have shields. You'll have to use a charge attack to get rid of the shields, and it's pretty simple. The game in terms of combat is fairly simple. And even the platforming parts, which are very well done in this game. I was actually surprised at how well the platforming was done in this game. I suck at platformers, and I actually didn't have a hard time doing really any of the platforming in this game. The platforming was very well done, and they made it to where if you're in the air and you look down, your character will have like an orange ring on the ground showing you where you're going to land, which does help a lot. All the controls and everything are very well laid out in this game. The game controls and plays fantastically. The game is very smooth. The game almost never dips in frames, except for a few here and there, because when there's quite a bit going on in the environments. Not only are a good chunk of the environments relatively large, but you'll have some enemies roaming around. Some of them will pop up underground, but the game and ReCore is very actually is very good looking. They used a lot of the assets very well in this game. The base graphics aren't that great, but there's a lot of little details. The lighting, for instance, is very great, especially if you're in a really dark area. Jewel has a lot of things on her that make up a lot of light, and they just the way they shine in the dark is very, very pretty. There's almost like a J.J. Abrams effect on the game. There's lots of lens flares. And even the little things when you do your little dash to kind of move forward faster, the sand will spread like sideways, kind of like almost water would, and it's just a nice little detail that's in the game. The soundtrack in the game is a little bit repetitive and kind of annoying and doesn't know when to start and stop sometimes. Sometimes the music will overstay its welcome during a combat situation. The music won't end when I'm done with combat. It'll keep going for like 10-15 seconds afterwards sometimes, and it's just kind of a little odd and breaks the tension. Anyway, the story, I have to say, is pretty interesting in this game, and it's almost... Normally something like this would ruin a game a little bit, where a lot of the story is told through like audio logs and stuff like that. There are some cutscenes here and there which are a little bit choppy for some reason. It seems like the gameplay itself is pretty smooth almost throughout. The cutscenes, though, at least in my time playing the game, may have been updated by now, I don't know, but a lot of the cutscenes were really choppy, and sometimes the audio would desync. It's not like there were a lot of cutscenes in this game anyway, and they don't really do much for the game. A lot of the story in this game comes from the audio logs, which are very well done, very well scripted. The voice acting in this game can be a little bit off sometimes. Some of the characters, I don't like all of them, but the story is very interesting, and kind of somehow picking up these audio logs here and there, revealing bits and pieces of the story, really adds a mysterious element to it. Makes you really wondering what's going on, and it almost helps the game in a way. It just adds a mystery element where I don't really feel like this story would have been as interesting if it was told to me up front in cutscenes. Getting it in bits and pieces is actually fairly interesting and is a different element to the game that I really wasn't expecting, and I like it a lot. And I think in most other games this probably wouldn't have been a positive for me, but in this game I think it really is a positive. Now, the negatives for this game really step in near the end. The game is a hell of a lot of fun when you get started. Really fun, in fact, and it's when you're playing the story, getting straight to the point. Unfortunately, the ReCore is a $40 game, and it seems like the game tries really hard to convince you of its worth. The game really wants you to feel like you're paying $40 for a game that has $60 worth of content, because this is an open world game, and a lot of the missions will require that you... Pretty much every mission in this game requires you be a certain level. You have certain prism cores, which are the energy source that'll unlock certain doors or whatever to go to the next main story mission. But they require you have a certain level, a certain amount of prism cores, and a certain companion with you. And this isn't it's not a big issue at first in the game, because as you're playing the game, you get these things. But later on, when you get through the game, you get to the last area of the game. And then it's separated into floors, and each floor requires a different level. And it's at this point of the game where it kind of forces you to go do the extra stuff in the game. This is an open world game, so of course there's other side stuff you can do. And normally in an open world game, this side stuff should be stuff that you don't have to do, but is there if you want to. The side stuff shouldn't be mandatory. Unfortunately, ReCore makes it mandatory. Once you get to the later part of the game, you're not going to be at the level you should be just by playing the game. You're going to have to set some time aside. You're going to have to go do some of the extra side stuff, which just mainly consists of platforming bits and just arena fights. And you're going to have to do all these side things in order to level yourself up so you're prepared for the last portion of the game, because unfortunately just playing through the story doesn't level you up enough to be able to complete the game without having to do all of this side stuff. And my main problem with this is that I really like it when I can play a game, especially the story, from front to back without having to do any side stuff if I don't want to. If If a game forces you to do all this side stuff, it's almost like what's the point? Because I know it's not just me. I know a lot of other people out there will play like an RPG, for example, and they're not going to want to do a lot of the side quests because a lot of them can get repetitive. And that's what this game is it has a lot of side stuff, and I mean, they're all right for what they are, but they're all the same. It's either a platforming or an arena brawl section. Unfortunately, this game makes you do them because you are required to be a certain level to do the next part unless you want to get your shit pushed in. And this doesn't really hurt the game that much. It's just a little annoying, and it gets a little bit tedious when you have to, once you're like, oh, all right, I can finally beat the game, I can fight the end boss, and I can do all this stuff. But no, you have to set several hours aside to go do the side steps so you're a proper level, so you won't have a super annoying time trying to beat the later stages of this game. But it doesn't hurt the game that much. I mean, up to that point, the game is so much fun. Surprisingly fun. I was not expecting ReCore to be as good as it was, to be honest. The gameplay is very solid. The game is technically solid. All the sounds are good. The soundtrack is a little bit dull, but everything else just sounds good. The sound effects they chose, everything is good. I mean, you meet some characters in the game which are a little bit boring here and there. None of the characters themselves are particularly interesting. The story I actually really like. It's not anything unique, but the way it's told, how it's not directly told to you, I really like, and I found very interesting, and I felt it added a mysterious element to this game. My only major gripe with this game is that it does make you do all the side stuff if you do want to be powerful enough to beat the game. Unfortunately, you can't just play the story and beat the game. You're going to be spending some extra time doing everything else. And it feels like that this was just an attempt to inflate the length of the game. It's like they wanted to tell you, hey, we're a $40 game with $60 worth of content. When really, it's not. But this game is fun. It is pretty long. In terms of length, you are going to get your money out of it. I can almost guarantee it. This is a very fun game. I definitely recommend you check it out, especially if you're more an Xbox One person. I think this is an exclusive that you should not skip on. This is a very fun game. Overall, I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this game. Very surprised at this game. Concept did a good job. New IP. I'm curious to see if this game does well, if Microsoft will do anything with it in the future. I don't know. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Tell me, have you all played ReCore? If you have, let me know in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think about this new IP? Microsoft branching out a little bit than just doing the Gears of War, Forza, Halo stuff. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you could do me a real quick favor, look in that description box down below. Got all that social media stuff down there. You guys know what to do with those. And I'll see you guys next time. I am out.